Of all the many views that were going to imprint themselves on Bradley Wiggins' memories of riding the final stage in the yellow jersey, this one was going to take some beating. The most famous right turn in cycling, off the Place de la Concorde and onto the Champs-Élysées. The only question then was whether he'd just ride round and soak up all the atmosphere or try to finish off in style by leading Mark Cavendish out for the stage win.
We swing onto the Champs-Élysées. It's the bell this lap. These three riders have suddenly come back to just 16 seconds, but they'll get the bell. They will be inspired. Jens Voigt leads the charge, and the peloton with Mark Cavendish and Bradley Wiggins and Chris Froome are just 16 seconds behind. There is Mark Cavendish. He's just hoping now that the three riders up front are brought to heel.
Well, it's down to 15 seconds. That flick of the wrist by the Italian rider on Liquigas there was to indicate for the guy behind him to come forward and keep this pace as high as possible.
15 seconds at the moment. Come, guys.
Now it's going to be Team Saxo Bank, and they've got a good sprinter too, because their sprinter is Jonathan Cantwell from Australia and JJ Haedo from Argentina.
And Cantwell and Haedo are both coming to the end of their very first race around France. The Saxo Bank team, one of only 4 teams to bring all 9 men home, are now hitting the front for their sprinters. I don't think we really expected that one, but somebody's got to finish this off.
It's all good, guys. It's all going to be good. Let's just compose ourselves for the final, okay? Let's deliver.
12 seconds is the advantage. That's not much more than about 120 meters.
All the riders on the head of the peloton are what we call the domestiques, the workers, the helpers. They are now trying to get the sprinters in position as well as lead the race back up to those 3 front men. It is 10 seconds and we're about to turn at the top of the Arc de Triomphe. They will all fly down the other side.
10 seconds is the gap now, and Jens Voigt, if he looks back over his shoulder, he will see a charging beast, and it's called the peloton in cycling, and it's led there by Team Saxo Bank. Mark Cavendish is being looked after by his riders right behind the yellow jersey of Bradley Wiggins. Bradley Wiggins, Phil, only needs to finish in the main field and get the same time as everybody else to win the Tour de France here this afternoon, and he will be very cognizant of that.
Here we go, the last cheers from the British under the Arc de Triomphe here. The last time they will see Bradley Wiggins as a leader of the Tour de France, because in about 5 minutes' time, he'll be the first British winner. He goes around beneath the flags.
Come, guys. We know where we need to put Bradley at the 1K banner, okay? We have to do everything to put him there. Then the rest will follow.
Well, now you can see this is Rui Costa, but you know, normally in the Tour de France on the last lap, the yellow jersey, Phil, would enjoy it. He will savour the fact that he's about to win the Tour, but on this occasion we're going to see some very different tactics. You very rarely would see the man who's going to win the Tour de France getting involved in the sprint. Bradley Wiggins wears the yellow jersey. Just behind him, Mark Cavendish is the man that he's going to try and launch into the attack to try and get himself a victory on the final stage.
Well, normally Wiggins would sit up and he'd wave to the crowd while they sprinted out, but not this time. Wiggins has promised to try and lead Mark Cavendish to victory. Now, Mark Cavendish has never lost a finish on the Champs-Élysées. He's been here 3 times. He's won every time. I think there's a crash in the peloton. Somebody's gone down. Well, that is a real shame. 2 riders down there, one from AG2R, I think, and one from Lampre.
Well, this is how dangerous this race is going to be, and everyone is taking risks. Hondo just touching the wheel there of a rider in front of him, and he went down very, very hard indeed.
I have a feeling it was the sprinter of Team AG2R, Sebastian Eno, who went out there at that point. Mark Cavendish, though, moving safely up the near side now. His concentration. He is the fastest road finisher in the world. That's undisputable, but you've got to be in the right position to win. They are just about all together now, as Wiggins also moving into position, but Cavendish got to know that over his shoulder is Peter Sagan, who's won 3 stages of this Tour as well this time.
Not far away from the Cavendish-Sagan duo, there is also Matty Goss, the Australian from Orica Green Edge, in the mix. In the front 15 positions is also Andre Greipel. The race radio now is saying Gruppo Compacto in Italian, which means the group is now back all together.
They're all together, but they're very, very stressed indeed. But Team Sky have organised themselves. They've got the front of the bunch here. Wiggins, the leader and soon-to-be winner of the Tour de France, moves into second place behind Michael Rogers. Edvard Boysenhagen is third. Mark Cavendish is fourth. Peter Sagan, who will challenge him, is in the all-green jersey.
Well, in front of him is his teammate from Liquigas, that's Daniel Ossen. He's normally the lead-out man, the pilot fish for Peter Sagan when it comes down to these sprints. Matty Goss is in the middle of the mix there as well. On the left-hand side, you can start to see the organisation and the lead-out coming from Lotto Belisol.
And off to the left of our picture there is the man on Lotto, which is Andre Greipel here, while still it's Saxo Bank trying to deliver JJ Haido to the finishing line. We're going underground for the last time, and it'll be all action when they come out, because they'll be 1.5 kilometres from the finish.
In the first 5 places, I noticed in the blue helmet moving up there was the American sprinter Tyler Farrar. You've got to stay calm when you're a sprinter like this. You have to have confidence in the men around you, and that's what Mark Cavendish is doing right now. He's still locked onto the wheel of Bradley Wiggins and his teammate just in front of him, Edvald Bosenhagen, as we go past Norwegian corner.
You will see the bridge across the road. It's been waving throughout, but this time it really is 1 kilometre from the finish. And now Bradley Wiggins, the winner of the Tour de France, is moving Edvald Bosenhagen in front of Mark Cavendish. The Sky Train is all set to roll at 1 kilometre to go.
Well, they're inside of 1 kilometre to go. It's a big battle to try and get into the slipstream of Mark Cavendish. This man who was an Olympic gold medalist in the individual pursuit, Bradley Wiggins, is eating his heart out right now for his teammate behind him. He wants to pay back the world champion, but there's a lead out trying to come by there from Orica Greenedge, and that, of course, was Albacini.
Full, Eddie, full.
It's Edvald Bosenhagen, perfect position, but watch out, Sagan is on the offside as we're heading up towards the final turn. This is a brilliant lead out by the champion of Norway on Team Sky. Bosenhagen, it's a perfect finish for Mark Cavendish. He's brought into the straight so far ahead, it's familiar. The missile is firing and he doesn't get past. Look at his face. He makes it look all too easy, but that is the story of the Tour de France. Has he? Yes, he's clear. Mark Cavendish gets 4 out of 4 wins in the last 4 years in Paris. This is the end of a perfect Tour de France for Great Britain. Sagan would have got second there. The yellow jersey for Bradley Wiggins, the first ever to win for Great Britain. He shakes hands with Michael Rogers of Australia. Behind Wiggins is Chris Froome, who finishes second. It just is all too perfect.
And in terms of achievement, out of all proportion, 5 British riders in a field of 198 have won 7 stages out of a total of 21 and occupied first and second place on the podium.
Wow, just getting onto Champs-Élysées today and hearing that first sort of eruption from the crowd as we came through the tunnel there, that was just sent chills through me. I don't think it's really sort of sunk in yet what we've achieved here, but I mean, winning today with Cav, again, that's just been the cherry on the top for us, I think, after 3 weeks of amazing racing up until now.
You said to me yesterday that you know the history of cycling, you get it, you get the sport. Your place is secure forever.
Yeah, I've got to get used to that now, you know. It's going to take a while. I'm just trying to soak every minute of today in, you know, as it goes along, and it's very surreal at the moment, you know. This, as I said yesterday to you, this sort of thing happens to other people, and you never imagine it happens to you, so it's incredible, yeah. I mean, it's not the sort of thing you soak in at the time and think, God, this is amazing, what a wonderful occasion. But I bet you look back in years to come and think, God, that was special.
Well, Brad, with a bit of luck, someone's bought you this DVD for Christmas, just in case the memory ever fades.
Well, the applause for Bradley Wiggins as he steps up in the shadow of the Arc de Triomphe. It's never been precedented before. Since 1903, the Tour de France has been racing around France. Today, Paul, a British winner.
Well, I have to admit, Phil, I don't think I ever expected to see that in my lifetime, and not only a winner, but first and second place overall.
Here's the final result for the historical record. Bradley Wiggins rode the 3,497 kilometres of the 2012 Tour de France in a time of 87 hours, 34 minutes and 37 seconds. Chris Froome was 3 minutes 21 seconds slower, and Vincenzo Nibali finished third, 6 minutes 19 seconds behind Wiggins. Thomas Voeckler made sure the host nation was represented on the podium with a typically opportunist win in the King of the Mountains competition. And it was a pretty good tour for Slovakia too, thanks to this man. Peter Sagan won the green jersey competition with one of the highest points totals for years, and at the age of 22 could well dominate the competition for years. 23-year-old TJ Van Garderen announced himself as a future contender to win the Tour overall by winning the Best Young Rider competition. But no matter what happens in the future, Bradley Wiggins has secured himself a place in history this year. By dint of doing something that's never been done before, he's achieved something that can never be done again. No one else can ever be the first British rider to win the Tour de France.
The 2012 Tour de France, the 99th edition of the toughest sporting event in the world, spread over 21 days in 3 countries and covering 3,500 kilometres. 198 men started the race, but the road to Paris will claim many as the riders did battle along its myriad twists and turns, rises and falls. Fabian Fabulous Cancellara. Sargent's first stage win at the first attempt. Is the missile going to hit his target for the 21st time? And yes, he does. Greipel kicks again.
Cleanest we've ever been, and with Brad leading the Tour and Chris in second, I mean, we're clean riders and we're dominating the Tour de France.
Everyone said I'd lost it yesterday in that press conference. I wasn't. I was just speaking my mind. I love this race. I love this sport.
We had yesterday crashes, today crashes again. It's a daily business, actually.
We are hearing on the race radio there's a crash, and there it is. This doesn't look quite so good for some of the riders down.
Oh, they've gone down.
Again, a
Mark Cavendish has gone down.
And there's a crash in the peloton. There it is.
There's a lot of damage being done in the peloton. This is mayhem.
It's a winning ride to win the Tour de France. Bradley Wiggins, punch in the sky. You've just seen the winner of the Tour de France cross the line. Mark Cavendish gets 4 out of 4 wins in the last 4 years in Paris. This is the end of a perfect Tour de France for Great Britain.